Hello, people of the internet. Not that there's anyone going to be watching this just yet, but that means that I can make this just between us. Me and the YouTube people. How are you? You're better than Twitch. But if you do want to watch these live on Twitch, just go to twitch.tv/PDTTheGeeky and you can follow me there, and then you'll get a notification when I go live. I try to do one of these every Sunday, but it doesn't always happen. It might not happen next week. I might be going round to Tim's, who I do the mostly made up Doctor Who episode guide with every now and then. We've not done one in a very long time. I'm aware of that. That's fine. So, the main purpose of tonight's thing is to take on Arachnids in the UK. And I can see that Quinn's already with me, eager to give his thoughts on the episode. Quinn, I'd no reason why you would have listened to Ranger Pod, but Quinn of Ranger Pod. Hey man, how you doing? So Arachnids in the UK. I still think it's a pun that doesn't work on any. It doesn't scan. It's not a great pun. But hey, it is what it is. Good. I'm glad you're good. It's been a very chilled Sunday, to be honest. And I've got to say, I enjoyed this. It's a pun on anarchy in the UK. I know, it's, not great. But that's ostensibly what it's supposed to be. So Arachnids in the UK. This is the first one that I'm not reviewing for Den of Geek. Just to fill you in, the BBC previews, they stopped giving them out, basically. Yeah, I'd have thought you'd have twigged that as a punk too. But there we go. You didn't. The BBC have stopped giving out previews to most websites. It's kind of an open secret now. Simon Bruce tweeted about it, so it's out there. And it just means that I've not been, I could be sitting up till 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock reviewing it tonight, typing out something that I'm not that proud of. Don't really want to. That's what it boils down to, because they need stuff for tomorrow morning, They're a commercial enterprise. So this is where you get all of my half-baked opinions, having just seen the episode. Which, I quite enjoyed. I think, for me, this was the first proper Doctor Who story of the season. The first one was set up. The second one was nice, but kind of still set up, really. It was still bonding the team together. The third one... I'm not going to talk about the third one, because, frankly, everyone else disagrees with me anyway. Almost everyone else. I was quite bored by it. That's why there was a long section in my Den of Geek review saying, well, if you watch Doctor Who for sci-fi adventure, you'll probably have been quite disappointed with this one. I do watch Doctor Who mainly for sci-fi adventure, and I was very disappointed by last week's episode. Hey Ian, how you doing? Was that a TIE fighter? You're in the wrong chat, my friend. You've only got 15 minutes, to live, Quinn? I hope that's not the case. That would be a disappointment, frankly. Not sure for who, but your mum would probably be a bit gutted. And, she seems like a nice person. So, I did write down a few random thoughts as I watched the episode. Not much, because I was, watching the episode. Oh, it's a spider. Wonderful. Okay, the first thing I wrote down is bring back the pre-title sequence. I'm annoyed that Chris Chibnall seems to have done away with the pre-titles. This is how I wanted to break my impending death to you, says Quinn. Fair enough. The pre-titles, one of the things Doctor Who is kind of known for is its cliffhangers. Sort of Doctor Who of old. And, these days we have Doctor Who as a sort of Buffy format with the 45-minute standalone episodes, and that's fine. But the pre-titles meant that you'd always get a little kind of thrill of a cliffhanger. every week. Yeah, Zandmat says it's hey Zandmat, possibly the best example of the kind of show that Chibnall's wanting to do. I hope so. I would happily have another sort of 8 or 9 of these. Yeah, Quinn's never been a fan. Cold opens. Is that the technical term for the tease? I don't know. I like it because it means you get a little cliffhanger. You get a little scene and then something happens. It's like we're into the story. And I like that, but I get they're not to everyone's taste, but yeah, I miss the pre-titles. I think it's jarring to just go straight into which is weird because that's how every other show does it. I think we're all very used to the American style these days. They're a result of US TV formatting that snuck its way into US. Yeah, because it's a teaser in America, isn't it? They have the weird thing where they show the end credits of one program and the teaser of another, and then just a break, and then the opening credits. So I get what you mean, but I just think it adds that little frisson of a cliffhanger. That's just me. Speaking of America, do we have to? Zanmat's Facebook feed is full of posts saying, no, not spiders, not watching. Okay, I'll tackle the Trump guy first, and then we can go to the point of spiders, because, both big things in the episode, but the Trump guy, man, he played it very well. He's clearly someone who's very good at doing that kind of character, because I think he was kind of an asshole in Sex and the City, wasn't he? I didn't really watch it, but I'm aware of it by reputation and by the few times that I watched it, like, as a teenager, to try and catch a glimpse of boobs. Don't judge me. You all did it as well. It was just heavy-handed. And then mentioning Trump to kind of top it all off, it's like, do you see what we're doing here? Do you see? And then he mentions about the presidency. And I kind of think that was a really odd. It didn't get resolved in any way. You'd think the Doctor would be in some way scuppering his career, but I don't know. Am I right in thinking that he survived? Possibly he died. If he died, I'm really sorry. I'm really embarrassed. If he didn't die, then I don't understand why the Doctor didn't do anything about him. She had the whole thing of, well, nobody's going to get to be president who sacks Yaz's mum, unless he's the Master again. Trump guy is the liberal PC mad BBC pushing its Corbynist agenda. I don't know whether you're joking there or not, to be honest, Quinn. But yeah, the fact that the Doctor, the way that he destroyed Harriet Jones's career and didn't. Maybe that's. I'm adding headcanon now. Maybe that's the reason why she didn't wreck Trump's career, but didn't wreck this bloke's career. Because when she wrecked Harriet, when she as a he wrecked Harriet Jones's career. Oh, it's so confusing now. When they wrecked Harriet Jones's career, that paved the way for Harold Saxon and the Master. Maybe this Doctor's a bit more cautious about that kind of thing. Ian says, I'd have liked a unit reference, or the Doctor saying to the Spider Lady, call these guys. Yeah, that kind of thing. You do wonder. I guess they can't call you in unit every time. Because it's... Yeah, they made a big thing of him hating Trump. So, yeah, it was just Trump. There was no nuance. That's the thing, there was no nuance there. And maybe I'm wrong to expect nuance in a children's television show. But I would have liked a bit of nuance. Sue me. That character would have sued me. So, yeah. Even just a line would have been nice. Yeah, I know what you mean. It's, but yeah, I just felt it was heavy-handed. I think, it's difficult because you can't really say that Doctor Who's take on politics and stuff has ever been particularly subtle. When you're talking about the stories of the 70s and Barry Letts kind of putting his views and stuff into it. It was never that subtle, hey, this ep could have fitted into any era so very Doctor Who. Yeah, absolutely. This is definitely the first proper Doctor Who story we've had this series. There's no... Even just as Unit will wrap... Yeah, maybe, so, yeah. Because, yeah, they did kind of leave that... Because I think they left them to die slowly, didn't they? Or something. Is that right? They left the spiders to suffocate? Which seems a bit inhumane, because there were a lot of spiders down there. And yeah, there were spiders, and that's what made it great for me. Luckily, I don't have any sort of fear of spiders. I'm not a big fan of them. I will be a bit like... Ugh, ugh. Yeah, die naturally, in inverted commas. It didn't seem like a great end, a great resolution to that for me. There hasn't been any nuance in any episode this series. Yeah, but was there in the Stephen Moffat era? If we look back, was there really any of that? I don't think this series has been any worse, necessarily. I mean, last week was pretty bad in terms of lacking nuance. But then, I don't know, when you're dealing with something like that, do you need nuance? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, spiders, huh? Because, yeah, I mean, they were really well done. Obviously they weren't real, but they were pretty good, visually, and they played with a lot of the kind of horror, replicated a lot of the kind of horror tropes when it comes to spiders, the whole, have you checked the ceiling thing, and then they look up and it's like, shit. Yeah, I mean, this was a horror episode. I don't know whether it was originally meant to be the Halloween episode. I've been reading that there's been sort of a lot of chopping and changing done. I think possibly The Witchfinders was meant to be episode 4, and then it's been pushed back because I think it's been pushed back to episode 9 now, for various reasons. So it's a bit weird. My mum and dad have actually watched the series, the first time they've ever been watching Doctor Who. Wow. That said, my mum's the worst person I know in terms of being afraid of spiders, so she didn't watch it. I think my mum would have been... Yeah, I don't know, actually, if I heard from my mum, because obviously that's always a good part of this. Yeah, I've just heard from Mark Harrison, who's going to be reviewing it for Vodzilla. He says, it probably needed about 2 more drafts to cohere properly and not contradict itself. I can see that. I think maybe it's a bit harsh, but yeah, I mean, there was definitely... It wasn't a perfect episode, but I think that there were a lot of what needed to be there was there. And I'm sure I'll realise all the contradictions and things probably when I read his review. Call Me In says, I hope The Witchfinders doesn't feel like episode 4, unlike The Eaters of Lighter and... Actually, this is a good point. The Witchfinders can't have been made to be episode 4. That's bollocks. This episode is so clearly, meant to be where it is in the series. I think I've been reading nonsense. Either that or The Witchfinders was meant to be episode 6. But yeah, this was always... Oh no, that was it. To make it a Halloween episode. Yeah, I think The Witchfinders was meant to be the Halloween episode, but there was talk that the show was also meant to air 2 weeks earlier. I mean, again, this is all gossip from Gallifrey Base. Because, in the first episode, you've got the bloke saying, Halloween's next month, mate. And yeah, people think that the series was meant to start 2 weeks earlier than it did, which would have put episode 6 as the Halloween episode, which would have been The Witchfinders, but now it's moving to 9. That's it. I like the mutant spiders. Felt like the evil, unconscionable capitalist being part of the cause was overdoing it. Yeah, As much as I love bashing capitalist, why not put a little more focus on the scientist? Yeah, whose experiments were the catalyst. Absolutely, Quinn. Yeah, that was all glossed over a bit, wasn't it? It's like, oh yeah, we've been doing some experiments on spiders. How? And let's face it, the whole radioactive waste, the toxicity making them grow bigger, that was straight out of Marvel Comics. I mean, not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but yeah, it was all a bit sort of wishy-washy and like, oh yeah, let's just gloss over that. I didn't mind it. That was one of the weakest aspects of the episode, the explanation for the giant spiders. But wait, mutant creatures in a mine, where is Boss? Absolutely. Yeah, I think is the guy who did that voice still alive? Was that Stephen Thorne? Because I think, oh no, perhaps he died a year or two ago. I mean, obviously they're not gonna bring back Boss, which is a shame, frankly. Stephen Thorne, British actor, is he dead? No, he's still very much alive and 83 years old. It'd be nice to bring back just everything from the Pertwee era, really. But that's okay. I'm sure that they'll have River Song popping up in the middle of an episode of The Green Death, and they'll bring back Boss. But yeah, what else did I write? Because I only made a few notes. Oh god, the Time Vortex. What did you think of the Time Vortex, folks? I know it's a minor thing, but fucking hell, that was awful. I'm sorry, but it looks like it's lit up with fairy lights. Ian says it felt very 80s. Yeah, I guess it did, yeah, the kind of Peter Davison title sequency type thing. Right, Quinn's off to shoot, apparently. Please don't kill anyone. I mean, the episode felt like a Colin episode, yeah. It looked very crazy. Yeah, again, I just felt like it was lit up with fairy lights. But yeah, have a good night, Quinn. It didn't sit well with me at all, especially the bit where it kind of came into this sort of hub world, as it were. It's like, well, hang on, what are we in here? This is... Yeah, didn't like that. There's no reason for it. I mean, I know that the Time Vortex has changed over the years, but overall, like the episode, actually had me on edge. Good story, bit of a weak ending maybe, but it wasn't bad. Yeah, I mean, the ending isn't the music was obnoxious, but yeah, the ending wasn't the worst we've had from a Doctor Who story by any stretch, was it? Some of the resolutions we've had to plots have been dreadful. And yeah, this one was fine. I think overall it was a solid Doctor Who episode. I think one of the previews I read said it's not going to win any awards, but it was very... You keep saying it was very episode 4. I don't know what that means, Ian. Can you elaborate on that? Yeah. Also, I've written down, is Grace a tumour? What do we think? Because was Brian's cancer of the brain? Was that what she helped him sort of recover from? Because yeah, he's seeing hallucinations of Grace, and I know it's in the flat, and it's meant to be the whole kind of memories of Grace sort of haunting him, as it were. But you also wonder whether maybe there's something else going on there. Is there a relapse coming? Are we building up to some kind of tragic ending for Graham? I mean, Sharon D. Clarke is billed as a regular, recurring character still. We've only seen her twice now, which is technically recurring. Oh, okay, so safe, yeah. We've shown the past and the future, so here's a safe monster of the week. We've settled now, here's what the series will be. Yeah, that's fair, yeah, you go, yeah, picked up the companions, come back to the present, do a bit of time travel shit, Yeah, I actually thought it was meant to be Demons of the Punjab next week, but I was wrong because I'm not paying attention enough. Okay, that was just a tweet about something else, about a crap digital spy headline, which apparently made sense. I did enjoy the character work that was on display. I feel like we got a bit more of who this Doctor is. Yeah. I'm... There are moments, and quite a lot of moments, let's be fair, when I really like this Doctor, and I think that, I think Jodie's playing her well, regardless. But there's a lot of there's not a lot, but there's certainly bits of sort of sub Matt Smith sort of going into the dialogue. No, I think those are the only titles we have, apart from next week's one, the Suranga Conundrum or something. No, you see, for me, Jodie's very 11 to me, and there was a bit of dialogue which just made me cringe because it was sub Matt Smith. The bit where she's talking about sofa, she's like, "Oh, I could have a sofa. Imagine me having a sofa," and it's like, "Oh, that's." I mean, it's very much like the Doctor's curator sort of thing at the end of Day of the Doctor. I could be a curator. Imagine me being a curator. I'd be great at curating. I could do that. I could retire. A few traces of Eccleston. I'm not seeing the Eccleston in there. She's Northern, I suppose. In terms of character, I'm not really seeing it yet, but, they're all in there in some way, and it's not a conscious thing. That's true, actually. Yeah, imagine me with no heads. Yeah, yeah, I suppose. Yeah, it's one of those things. I just didn't like it as a bit of dialogue, to be honest. I think there are times when she's not well served as a character. I still don't know how I feel about her being a bit clingy. Again, I know it's something that isn't out of character as such, but it's dialed up, and I'm just a bit unsure about whether it's the best choice for the character. But yeah, I mean, I've got no issues with Jodie. It's just the way the Doctor's written is fine, but there are times when it's just a bit, yeah. Those are pretty much the only things that I wrote. I did write that I quite like the line, "You can't be president if you fire Yaz's mum," which, yeah, he shouldn't be president. By 5, I mean she's vanilla. She's like generic Doctor. I think, to an extent, although we've only seen her 4 episodes, man, I don't think you could... Certainly a lot of the Doctors, you can't really judge them 4 episodes in that much as a character. The stronger, sort of willed ones, like Peter Capaldi. Mind you, I mean, the Doctor he was 4 episodes in was nothing nothing like the Doctor he was 3 years in. For better or worse, I know some people don't like the Rock Doctor, but yeah. She's good. It's just, the Trump guy can't be president as what? Courtney from season 8 is going to be... Well, can't they both be president? Did they say when Courtney was going to be president? Because, I mean, yeah, if they said it was 2020, then that is continuity. So everyone knows that Doctor Who has one strict linear canon. Let's just look that up, actually. This is the kind of thing that I would have been Googling when doing my old column. Although, actually, it seems more like the kind of thing that I would have ended up forgetting. Courtney, Kill the Moon. Just to remind you all about Kill the Moon, it's the one where the moon was an egg. And I thought that was fine, but a lot of people... couldn't care to spell her name. I mean, that's fair enough. Courtney Woods, blah blah blah. Yeah, it seems it only says that Courtney would bizarrely become president of the United States. Doesn't say 2020, so that's fine. She's not had her first angry "you're all idiots who are going to kill everyone" rant. Did she not have that sort of in this episode? I suppose not. Yeah, so, I mean, she does a good line in sort of righteous indignation, which is lucky given some of the places and things they've been to so far. I mean, if she'd have been quite mellow last week, I think we would have noticed, and maybe wouldn't have been the best character choice. She nearly did, yeah. Yeah, she's not had a proper losing her rag. Well, maybe when she's on the rag, eh, lads? Yeah, I feel bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, there were no references to the Doctor's gender this week, as there shouldn't be. So that was all good. Yeah, I'm sure people will still say, oh, it was all over the episode, because they've been doing that every week for the last 3 weeks. I'm sure there'll be stuff for Bowles Trek to get his claw. Actually, I think Bowles Trek will probably focus on the Trump thing, which, yeah, I can't say he doesn't have an element of a point, although I'm sure that we'll completely disagree. The sister comment, remind me? Oh, yeah! Yeah, I've had sisters and I was a sister. They are kind of, playing with this idea that the Doctor was a girl once. Sort of, Moffat sort of made a few intimations. No, it wasn't a reference to Old Who at all. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of wondering if... Because, look, I'd rather we didn't shove in any more incarnations of the Doctor. I mean, anything at this... And I think Twice Upon a Time kind of sealed it, that was the first time the Doctor was changing properly. But, maybe growing up, Time Lords have a thing where, why would they stay in one form, I guess? Maybe if there's some timey-wimey thing, they can shapeshift a bit. Not shapeshift, but, their form is kind of a bit fluid. Hello, Baz996, how you doing? Yeah, so maybe that's... I don't know, I'm grasping at canon here. The first Doctor had to disguise himself as a nun. Did he? Well, that's the thing. I think you can only pull that trick once, I think. I was worried that the Timeless Child thing was kind of going in that direction. And it still might, the whole, I see the Timeless Child that you're trying to repress. Hopefully that's not going in the sort of same direction as the War Doctor, because we did that plot and it was a nice surprise and it's been a nice addition. But I don't want to start adding more and more. The War Doctor felt like a special thing, taking advantage of kind of a natural gap in the series. I think trying to put stuff in before the first Doctor would be tricky. Doctor what? Dr. Nyarlathotep confirmed. Okay. Let's just see. I mean, I don't even know if I dare look at Gallifrey Base. It was a bit of a cesspit in the week before the Rosa episode ahead. Because ordinarily I'd be looking at the Den of Geek comment right now, but the review isn't up because I'm not writing it, and whoever did, I don't know who's writing it. There's a wild theory in the expanded universe that the Doctor is yeah, that word from Lovecraft myth. I mean, fair enough. There's a theory that Harriet Jones was Romana, I think. So, yeah, each to their own. The general disdain thread for arachnids in the UK. Let's go to that. Seems preachy. I mean, after last week, I don't think anything's going to seem preachy, but maybe. Yeah, people seem a bit confused by the ending and nonplussed by the ending. Yeah, incidentally, I think it was you, Matt, who said that. Oh God, here we go. Quoting Buffy lyrics. Yeah, round of applause. Yeah, I got a theory it's a demon, a dancing demon. No, something isn't right there. It could be bunnies. It could be bunnies. Yeah, you said about Yaz almost being relevant for a change. I almost feel like her mum got more character development in the episode than she did, which is wrong. Yeah, there's something just not right there with Yaz. It's not clicking for me. Yeah, she just seems generic. I had hoped that this episode would give her some kind of shining moment, but she seems to be mainly just sort of in the shadow of everyone else around her. Maybe because the other three are such powerful characters, such kind of powerful personalities. The Doctor, Graham, and Ryan are all very strong. Sort of, yeah, overwhelming almost. The problems with Yaz and Ryan is that they're meant to be teens, but the actors are. That's. It was certainly jarring in the opening episode where he said he was 19. But at the same time, that's not new. I think maybe as we're getting older, we notice it more. But Charisma Carpenter was sort of nearly 30, I think, when Buffy the Vampire Slayer started, and I don't think half the rest of the cast were far off her. David Yost, who played Billy, the Blue Power Ranger, he was, he was late 20s. It's the Yaz and Ryan dynamic doesn't seem to feel like it's interesting in the slightest. The Ryan Graham relationship is quite unique and interesting, especially after the conversation about his dad. Yeah, that's definitely where they're putting all their chips, I think. And I think they are trying to kind of bond Yaz and the Doctor. And there is a nice kind of friendship forming there, but I just can't get a handle on her as a character. Someone says that Jodie Whittaker's ridiculous facial expression on the banner for the thread, which is the sort of photo from the episode, is almost enough to put me off watching, to be honest. That's exactly the kind of forced panto acting in the name of eccentricity, which is just wrong. Let's have a look. Oh, it's a photo of her going... I think when she's looking through the door or something. I don't know, through the letterbox. Someone says that was shit. Someone says that was an utter pile of crap. So that's considered reviewing. For me, this was even more terrible than the preceding 3 episodes. This series has been Doctor Who minus the witty one-liners. I disagree with that. I think there were some really funny lines in this episode. It wasn't as laugh out loud as some have been, but that meant you could get the horror stuff. I think that's the weird thing. Katie Manning apparently saw a preview of the episodes, and they're giving out previews to anyone these days, except they're not. She's not. Who even is Katie Manning? But she said it was really funny. It wasn't really funny, but there were some really funny moments in it. Fam. That was. I quite liked that, actually, the bit where the Doctor's like, "You're my fam." No. intelligent plots. I thought the plot was reasonably intelligent. Original ideas. Does it need to be original if it's quite well done or compelling central? I disagree about compelling central performances. I think that for all of the flaws in making it such an unsubtle kind of Trump parody, I thought he was actually a really good performance. Mind you, what do you expect from someone called Crabface? One of the guys on Still Open All Hours is basically dressed as Rory. Fair enough. The granddad-grandson relationship is a nice change for companions. Yeah, absolutely. Credit to Chibnall for not using... Give it time. Not using Yaz and Ryan to try and recreate Rory and Amy. Katie Manning for Prime Minister. Oh dear. I like the Spider Lady. She was clearly, I have to make this character believable with very few lines. Yeah, I thought she was quite... Again, I think I like the fact that we're seemingly going back to a Russell T Davies style, in that even the minor characters in the episodes have something about them. You know, you like them or dislike them, but you know them in some sense. I felt like Stephen Moffat was really not very good at that at times. He would introduce characters and you just go, eh. Whereas already there are characters in this I wouldn't mind seeing come back. Characters I would mind seeing come back, like the villain from last week, but there we go. Jodie Whittaker is getting more gormless looking every week. Her facial expressions are getting as irritating as her waving that Sonic around. I quite like the way she waves the Sonic around, but there we go. Yeah, lots of things about the ending which didn't help, I think. This is awful, awful, awful. I think people are too worried to say how they feel in fear of it being cancelled. But if it continues like this, they won't have to worry. What has happened to this show? The classic series blows this out of the water, and they had a budget of £2.50 and a bag of sugar. I don't think the classic series does blow this out of the water. I think this was quite an effective... I think it was probably bloody scary for a lot of people. I wasn't scared, but I was sat there going, oh, that's a bit grim, the sort of cocooned people, and yeah, I felt that. I liked that. I really did. People on Facebook are comparing it to The Green Death. Yeah, they're doing that in my chat too. What Classic had, and the new series at the beginning, was characters, and they were allowed to develop. I don't know what I'm supposed to be feeling with this. Is this what new TV holds? Well, anyway, there's the disdain thread on Gallifrey Base. Matt says, do I think the BBC are suddenly pushing their pro-spider agenda? It seemed to suddenly lean towards spiders are harmless. The spider PR department must have been proud of that. Yeah, I mean... The spiders are harmless, aren't they? Unless you're in Australia. Because I think there was an episode of Peppa Pig, wasn't there? Which basically said, hey, spiders are all right. You can touch them. And that episode had to be very quickly banned in Australia. Because obviously in Australia, spiders not that great. Interesting theory. Ian says, well, as she's not a guy anymore, so she's clearly compensating waving the screwdriver around. I mean... I don't think that's a conscious decision, but, I can see where you're coming from on that. Hello to all of the people in the chat. Feel free to tell us what you thought, or ask me any questions, or just stay silent. But I always say, that is absolutely fine. People can lurk, or people can be like, hey, you're wrong, or you're fat. I mean, I know that. But, yeah, I'm probably going to be on for another 10-15 minutes, I think. Because I've not had much of a chance, because I've not sort of written things down, I've not got a lot to say, and the chat's a bit quieter than it has been this week. So, I'm not gonna drag it out. In fact, I might stop in a few minutes, just to put that out there. So if you've got points, make them, and we'll talk about them. But It's the first. Well, actually, I don't know, because the first 2 episodes of this series I had to watch again. I had to watch them several times in order to review them. But I will be watching this one again in the next couple of days. I think it's that. Yeah, it's a good enough episode that I want to see it again. I want to understand it a bit more. I want to understand the resolution a bit more. And I'm sure that people like Pip Madeley, I'm sure he's going to have fun putting in a different soundtrack to the bit where Ryan uses the grime. It's odd how we hardly got titles, and then after the Ghost Monument it was 4 titles in a row. There's a reason for that, Ian, and it's called Doctor Who Magazine. The Doctor Who Magazine was going to reveal the next 4, and I guess, they wanted to manage the reveal of that. Even if it was announced a couple of days before Doctor Who Magazine came out, I think. But yeah, that's why we got 4 episode titles. Plain and simple. Okay. I think we're winding down now, which is fine, I'd rather do a 40-minute stream that is sort of constantly talking about things than just try and drag it out for another 20 minutes. Look, thank you, Ian and Matt, and what's this? Oh, I have a question. Would I rather have a fat slong on my forehead or a tattoo on my penis? Tattoo on my penis. I know it would hurt. It would hurt a little bit. Well, it'd probably hurt quite a lot. But then it would be done. And it's not like a lot of people get to see it anyway. Whereas, you'd be walking around with a slong on your forehead, everyone would see it. That's an easy question, man. Or woman. I mean, if you're a woman asking about my penis, I am newly single. So, hit me up. But yeah, no, obviously a tattoo on my penis. See, that's what happens when you ask for questions. People give questions, and that's... Would I rather be River Song's companion or Benny's companion? Oh, fucking hell, Benny's companion. Every time. River Song, just insufferable. I think River Song probably gets into more trouble as well, but yeah, I find River Song quite irritating sometimes anyway. The whole, hello, sweetie. And it's like, oh, fuck off, just dial it down. Whereas Benny should be hung over half the time, so it'd be like, can we just have a quiet morning? Just if we can all go to our rooms and drink a cup of tea, and then, meet up for a fry-up or something. So yeah, Benny's companion every time. It's, yeah. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up there because, yeah, I think those were good questions, though. Thank you. What Big Finish box sets do I want from this series so far? Oh, blimey. Well, I want a spin-off of The Adventures of the Bus Driver from Rosa. That's very much like that. Maybe just 4 box sets about him just, like, being racist in space. That would be cool. I think, from the first episode, there's that Greg... Was it Greg? The guy who was special and amazing with his self-help tapes. Yeah, have a series of that. Obviously, it would be quite cool to have a Grace. I live in London corner, and I'm not going to give you the rest of my address. It's London. I'd like a Grace box set, in all seriousness. I think, Graham and Grace, it's difficult because being racist in space. I'm just trying to think how that would go. He's being racist, 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 oh, in space! Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Maybe it's got potential, though. So, get Ron Wasserman on the phone and get him to get him to compose it. All right, I think we've definitely got to the point where I should head off. So thank you for joining me, Matt, Ian, Corner, and that Quinn fella, whoever he is. A box set of the villain last week. No, thank you. Definitely not. Just no. So yeah, thanks for joining me. I may or may not be here next week, but if you're not subscribed to me, make sure you are. And because I do gaming streams and things. Thoughts on Class? I quite liked it. All right, bye guys.